All right. So you just opened up Marching Mapper for the first time. You put in your license and you got everything activated. So let's go over some things real quick. Down here at the bottom, you have the timeline bar. Right here, you'll see where we are inside the music, inside the drill. We can have music playing. We can have the metronome on, and we can go ahead and play. Now, it's only page 0, which if you've ever done drill before, you'll know that page 0 is just the starting formation. There's no actual counts to it. So if I click play, nothing will happen. Over here, we have the inspector on the right side. And for now, it's just going to talk about the page, and we can add notes to the page. So if I want to say on page 0, everyone faces random directions, it will go ahead and save that. But for now, I don't want anything there. Now for page 0, obviously the tempo and the counts don't really matter because none of that stuff will happen, but we can go ahead and insert pages. So we have page 1 now. Now if we go back to our timeline, start at page 0. There we go, 8 counts, and it says how long the show is so far. So 4 seconds, that makes sense because it's 8 counts at 120 BPM. We can go ahead and change the BPM. We can also change the counts. Say it's only 4 counts. And as you can see, the timeline actually will shift in size based on how many counts, how fast the tempo is. So that way you can get a good idea of how long each set will be. And as we add more pages, as you can see, it's going to allow us to scroll back and forth. But let's go ahead and delete those for now. We'll come back to the inspector a little bit later. We have more things going on over here that you'll see. Up at the top, we have the toolbar. And the toolbar, it lets us see if we want to have paths on. So we can see the paths of the next set, the previous set. We can also change our snap. Personally, when I write drill, I like to have the snap on 1. And we also have a line tool, a curve tool, box tool, a block tool. We have a circle tool. We have an n-gon tool. We have a spiral, an arc, scatter, and mirror. We'll be talking about all those things later. We can copy and paste marchers. We can also go into the 3D view. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Over on the left, we have the options panel. Inside the options panel, we have a lot going on. So let's go step by step. Inside edit field, we can edit the field. As you can see, there are some very common presets. So we'll go over to a college football field. And as you can see, the hashes have changed size. As well as pro, we go to pro. I got the little itty bitty hashes that they have. You can also change them if you want to. So if I want the front hash to only be 40 steps and the back hash behind that to be 25 steps for some reason, I don't know. As you can see, we have changed the hashes, but I'm just going to go to high school for now. There's also indoor fields. I should say floors, I guess. There's indoor floors, and it's chest based, and everything is a 30-inch step size, which is a 6-5. So the step sizing is a little bit different, and it is shown. If I go into 3D view, I can see the marchers when I put them on there, and they're scaled differently to match that 6-5 step. We can choose a background for the field, so you can go ahead and upload that and change how the background fit happens, crop the sides, crop the top and bottom, or make it stretch. Let's go back to the high school football field for now. Now we have groups. So right now we're only showing the groups in the chart, and there's no groups inside here. I haven't added any marchers yet, but as you can see, we can add a custom group. We can call it what we want. So let's say I want to march Off a Clyde. We can go ahead and put that on there, and then we can go ahead and I'm going to put HB for Hector Berlioz. We can have Off a Clydes inside there. I can change their colors, change their shape, and go ahead and add the group. But for now, I don't want to march Off a Clyde. Now we can also uncheck that and see all the preset groups. It's a lot. There are a lot of presets. So let's not worry about that right now. Over here in view, we can turn off the initials above the marchers. We can turn off the 1-step grid, turn off the 4-step grid, turn off the yard lines and numbers, and turn off the Shakos. And that's for 3D view. Next, we have music. Here we can upload music. We can skip into the file. So let's say your composer exported their music from Sibelius. Sibelius naturally has about a second delay before the music starts. So you can go ahead and put in a second. And let's say you want to wait 2 seconds until the music actually starts playing. You go ahead and put 2 seconds on there. So 2 seconds into the show, the music will start playing. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and start adding some marchers. Oh, before that, actually, you have your basic stuff, your file and export. So inside file, you can start a new show. You can save your show. You can save it as, load stuff. You can put in your show name, show movement, drill designer or designers, your ensemble, the director, the year. And export, we can go ahead and export videos. We can export drill charts. We can export sheets. A lot of options here. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and add some marchers. I'm just going to add some trumpets. Trumpets are pretty fun. So we select how many trumpets we want to add. Let's go ahead and add 30. Bam. We have 30 marchers right here on our field. So with this, we can move them around. As you can see, I selected them all. So what I'm doing is I'm just clicking and dragging, selecting all of them. And when I hold down right click and drag, I can move the view around. I can pan it over. If I scroll in and out, it will zoom in and out. Now, let's say I have a weird form and I want to select these marchers. I hold down Control and I can do a lasso selection just like that. Now, if I go up here and click Toggle 3D View, I can see it in 3D. Now let's talk about moving around in 3D view. So when I hold down left click, it's going to rotate. As we can see, we can rotate around. There's no collision detection here, so you go under the field if you'd like to. Now, if I scroll in and out, it's going to zoom in and out. Everything is based around a pivot point. Right now, it's the center of the field. But if I hold down right click, I can go ahead and move where the center of the field is. The center of the view, not the field. The field is not moving. And with this, I can go ahead and zoom in and out. I can move around. If I hold down the middle mouse button, I can also zoom in and out. Now, if I ever want to reset my view, I just go out of 3D view, right back in. Awesome. Let's go ahead and make our first formation. Let's make it with all 30 trumpets. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to Inspector. Oh, actually, before that, let's talk about this. When I select people, the Inspector has more options. We have ripple counts, the ripple leave and the ripple arrival. We have their rotation. We have their position. They can have it at set, carry, briefcase. Right now they're at set. Their instrument all the way up. We could change that they're snapping instead of smoothly transitioning between pages. Their angle is currently at parallel. If I go inside here, whoops. As you can see, everything is at parallel, but I can go ahead and switch it to 22 degrees or the box. And as you can see, their instrument moves up. As we move further back, we can see that they're up to the box. And again, we can have them snap instead of smoothly transition. And if we check this, they focalize to the box. Sometimes it resets those other settings, but as you can see, the rotation changes. If I go above, you can see that they're ever so slightly, yeah, it's easy to see over here, focalizing to the box. It's a lot more dramatic if I bring them all the way over here and then go into 3D view. As you can see, they are all focalized to the box. So when I'm up at the box, they are facing me. Awesome. One other feature before we make our first formation. Over in the options panel, we have marchers down here now. And it shows each marcher. We go ahead and click on them. So I just want to select 20. There we go. We go ahead and delete them. So if we have a person that gets cut or is no longer there in the ensemble, go inside here, just click delete. Also, if we hold down control and click the group, it selects all of them. So that way we can easily select just trumpets, just mellophones, just clarinets, making it all really easy. Awesome. Let's go ahead and make our first form. So I'm going to start with how this selection thing works right here. As you can see, when we have it selected, we have this little grabby mechanic in the center. We can also just grab any marcher and it does the same exact thing. What we can also do is we can scale it. So because it's just in the line, it only lets us scale. We don't have the option to do other things with this selection. But if I go ahead and switch outside of a line, now it's opened up to more of a box, a little rectangle. And as you can see, we can scale it. We can also rotate it. So it snaps on 22.5 degrees until you hold down shift for rotation. So now I can rotate them freely. Go ahead and put them back right here. And when I'm moving marchers around, it's going to snap to this step up here. But if I hold down shift, it completely ignores that and they move around freely. And now when I'm inside here and I'm scaling them, if I hold down control, it will scale the same axes on both sides. If I hold down alt, it will scale it all evenly, all the axes. Perfect. Let's go ahead and move these guys into a block. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select all of them. We can go up here. I'm going to select the block tool. Now everything is click, click, click. It is never click and drag. So I'm going to do my first click for the top left corner, or any corner. It doesn't matter which way you start. And then I'm going to do my second click. And as you can see, we have some pathways here. It's going to try and figure out what the most optimal pathway is going to be. We have these little green lines and then the dot for where they're going to go. And up here, we can go ahead and change the rotation. And we can see their side to side. We can see their front to back. And we can also change how many rows or columns we want. Now, it automatically figured it out. We have 30 marchers selected. So it's going to do 3 rows and 10 columns. And if you have some number that's divisible by several different things. So for this instance, this number actually, we can change this over to 6 and 5. And as you can see, that's going to work as well. But the reason why it chose 3 and 10 is because that was the most optimal movement for everybody. The least amount of movement would have to happen. Now, obviously, you don't want to do the most optimal sometimes. You want to do blocks like this. So you can go ahead and change it around. But if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. So if I try to do 6 and 6, needs 36 marchers. And as you can see, the little toast at the bottom, not the correct number of marchers. Cannot do that. So let's go ahead and go back to 6 and 5. Now I will go ahead and click down here. Bam. We have them all ready to go, all lined up. And I added a little bit of rotation. As you saw, there's a rotation option. So we have our first set. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this a little bit, make a cool little shape. And as you can see, we can move everything around. Everything is free to move after we make shapes. So we have this cool little rhombus right here. You go into our 3D view, and there it is. Now over here in the inspector, I'm going to go ahead and insert a page. And now we have page 0 and page 1. So in page 1, I'm going to go ahead and move them around a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to do this cool effect where they're like kind of peeling off. So I'm going to have these trumpets right here and have them go over here. And if we want to see how far they've moved from the previous page, we can go up here to paths and click previous set. And as you can see, we can see how far they're moving. And we can even see what their step size is. Look at that. Those are baby step sizes. It's like a 16:5. So we can go ahead and move them longer. Now, what's cool about this is it shows collisions as well. So right here, as you can see, it's going to collide with this trumpet. And it does it based on counts too. Obviously, because this trumpet is at rest. They're not moving. They're not going to be hit at all. or they are going to be hit no matter what. But if I go ahead and move them out of the way, it detects that, okay, they're going to be gone by those counts. So we're not going to worry about that. We're not going to collide at all. And if I go ahead and run playback of this, let's go to the playback. Oh, you can run playback here too. You don't have to run playback in 3D. You can do it right here as well. And as you can see, they never collide. They never hit each other. 3D view, same exact thing. We go over here, watch them move. See, they do not collide, but they collide. They get hit. So let's go ahead and reset that. So what I can do is I can go back here. I can copy by either going up here or Control C, and then I go to the next page, Control V, and it pastes the exact formation. Right now, because I had nothing selected, it pasted everybody. But if I go here and move just one person, go back, Control C, Control V, it moves just whatever I selected. So let's say I want these people to be over here on the previous set. Control C and just those people. Now go back to the previous set and Control V, and they're all moved over there. Let's go ahead and put them back though. Awesome. Now let's do that little peel thing I was talking about. So I'm going to have these trumpets. They're going to move over here. I'm going to have these trumpets move over here. I have these trumpets move over here. And these trumpets move over here. Now if we go to the previous page, watch it. Yeah, look at that. They're peeling apart. And obviously with all these tools at your disposal, you can do things like block expansions, block rotations. There's so many different things you can do. Now let's talk about some of the tools. Let's go over to the line tool. With the line tool, as it says, Control click to add segments, click to finish. So we'll click our first spot, and this is going to snap the same as everything else, snap to the one step, or if I hold down Control, it will no longer snap. And as I said, you can hold down Control and add segments. So we're going to add some segments, and we got our first segment right here, and we can finalize the click. There we go. And now we have this little formation made with the lines. So I can select multiple marchers and go ahead and put them over here. And as you can see, it finds the optimal path that will make sense for everybody. So because of that, you know, sometimes people get screwed over, like T10 right here. They have a pretty rough move, but that's the most optimal move that they can do with how it's set up. But as you can see, when I move over here, it's going to be a lot easier for all those marchers around. It does all these calculations to make sure that there's the least amount of movement that has to happen. And it also make sure to avoid collisions. So right here, no collisions will happen. Yep. Now let's talk about the curve tool. The curve tool, it's the same exact thing as the line tool, except the points are now control points. So when I hold down Control and put in the segment, as you can see, it's going to curve around that. So with this, we can make some pretty cool waves, some pretty cool Bezier stuff. Look at that. That's fun. Now we already talked about the block tool, so I'm going to go ahead and ignore that. Let's go over to the circle tool. Circle tool is pretty fun. First, we find our center point. Go ahead and click, and then we move out. As you can see, we have a circle. Now we can select how many layers we want. So let's go ahead and increase the layers. And it does this in an optimal way to make it look full, evenly full. And as you can see, the step sizes are pretty even. It's filled in nice and neat. But let's say you don't want to do that. You want to do something a little bit weird. So let's go ahead and put the circle back. And let's do 2 layers. Also, we can have a center marcher if we want to. Instead of auto layer, we can go ahead and say, yeah, instead I want only 2 people in the middle layer. And as you can see, it says it needs 30 on all the rings. So currently it's only adding up to 22, but we need to go all the way up to 30. Oop. There we go. 2 plus 28 is 30. Duh. So Now we only have 2 people in the center, and we have everybody else on the outside. And we can do that with the N-Gon tool as well, which is the next tool we'll talk about. So we go ahead and click the center, and we put down our shape. So it's just like the circle tool, except now it's a polygon. We can change how many sides we want it to be. We can keep on going up. At that point, you would just want to do a circle pretty much. But yeah, we can change the sides. We can change the rotation. Same thing, we do the layers. We can auto layer it or change it ourselves. We can have a center marcher. Or we can also turn it into a star. So yeah, when you click the star button, it takes each segment, cuts it in half, and then puts an indent. So if I only have 5 sides, it does the typical 5-pointed star. And we can change the indent. So the higher the indent, the more will come to the center. 100%. I mean, it's this weird shape that's not really going to work. But we can go back out. We can have a little bit of a more thick star. And we can even extend it all the way to 0, which at this point, I mean, that's just a 10-sided polygon. But yeah, we can go ahead and move this inside there. We have our little star. And look at that. We have our happy little star. Next, let's go over to the spiral tool. Again, in the center. And then you move out. And with this, you can change how many turns you want to have, as well as the rotation. And just like that, it figures out the spiral. Look here. We have a happy little spiral going. Obviously, some forms will look better with more or less marchers. It's really design choices. Next, we have the arc. You click and you put out the arc. You can put it as far away as you would like. And with this, it's just basically a semicircle. So let's go ahead and change the rotation of it. Let's go all the way to 270. We change the span, how much it's spanning of the circle. We can put in some layers. Center marcher, it's the same stuff as usual, as you've seen. So we'll go ahead and put this little arc in. And there we go. We got this multi-arc going. We can even change the scale of it. Look at this. This is a pretty cool shape. Pretty fun shape we have going here. Little weird arc. Go into 3D. Bam. There it is. Next we have scatter. Good old scatter tool. This pretty much, it starts with a circle, but you can change it to a square if you would like. It randomly figures out where to put marchers. It's a scatter tool. That's all it is. You can change the seed. And it says, hey, this is what you want to get for your max spacing, your min spacing, but because of math, it's not always going to work that way. But you can change around the seed until you get what you want. You can change the rotation. And there we go. We have the scatter tool. Again, it optimizes everything, tries to find what's going to look good. Next, we have the mirror tool. One of my favorite tools. This is really handy. So let's say I want to turn this into a perfectly symmetrical shape. Now, I could go through and move every marcher on my own if I wanted to, but that is so time consuming, so tedious. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all the marchers that I want to make the shape with. So if I wanted to make the shape with all the marchers except for these 2 people, go ahead and select it all. And now we have this selection. We put down our mirror tool. And as you can see, half the screen now has this little blue overlay. We'll go ahead and click where we want to have the axes at, the mirror axes. And when we hold Control, it will change the angle that we're mirroring with. And we hold down Shift, and it no longer snaps. Now, as you can see, on one side, we have the reflection side, and then we have what's being reflected. So over here, these marchers are going to do what these marchers are doing over here, but reflected. So if I put it over here in the center, go ahead and click. Now it is perfectly symmetrical. But as you can see, when you're using this mirror tool, sometimes not a good number of marchers are going to be selected right here. This is probably about half and half. But if I go over here, there's only 2. So it tries to figure out the most optimal thing based on what you say. Do you want to fill from front? So fill from front means that it's going to fill from where the axis is, or you can unclick it and it's going to fill way back there. So it's trying to mirror these people over here all the way up there. Now, sorry about that. If I do the inverse, go over here, the reflection side is going to change. As you can see over here, these two are inside the reflected zone, and that's because it chooses who has more marchers as the reflection side. So there's more marchers over here, so it's going to want to reflect based on that. Because how do you reflect when there's more marchers onto the other side? It's not going to work that way. There's no way to reflect when marchers don't exist. So he'll always figure out what to do optimally. Awesome. I really think that is all the basics of this program. And with this, you can make pretty much anything. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more marchers. Of course, when you have trumpets, you need to have mellophones. So let's add some mellophones. Let's control click. Just grab the mellophones. We come over here. And this program was made to design drill very quickly, very efficiently. So as you can see, we have our first set over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rotate, put these over here, have this nice little curve on top of it, copy everything, go to the next page, copy it all, and then just have them all move. Yeah, that's the basics of this program. I really hope you enjoy using Marching Mapper, mess around with it, make some cool stuff. There are a lot of features inside this application. You can go ahead and put front ensemble instruments as well. We have chimes. We have, oh my goodness, I just put 10 chimes in there. You can put in a front ensemble, making it look real. You can put custom props. I'll be talking about that in more tutorials, but thank you for watching.